another episode of The Man Space. Coach Kunle and I are absolutely honored and delighted to week after week showcase and feature different gentlemen from different parts of the world, making an impact and creating a safe place and space for men to show up, men to function, so that we, as we modernize our world, we continue to create safe places and spaces for men to find who they are, evolve the way they need to, instead of being stuck in traditions. Because if we don't move forward, we are going to be left behind. I am super excited for you to meet our guest today. So Kunle, Coach Kunle, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cass. It's another wonderful episode, and we're glad to have a young man who's brilliant, handsome, and who is doing wonderfully well with us on this episode of The Man Space. He is Coach Benjamin Aduroja, a financial expert who has been serving as advisor to C-suite executives in different organizations, and he's been training a host of people on how to handle their finances, providing absolute and up-to-date advisory for them when it comes to that. We're blessed to have you in our midst, Coach Benjamin. I want you to start by talking to us. Yes, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I want you to start by talking to us about the importance of even getting hold of one's financial life personally. I know most men struggle with this.
Thank you so much for the brilliant question. We would like for me to give an insight into the need or the importance of men, having a full grasp of the finances. Really, I think it's a very, very important, I'll call it phenomenon, very, very important part of a man's life to take 100% responsibility for his life, for his finances. I've had the privilege of working with a lot of clients. Many of them, have families and all that. And then sometimes we talk about, how they take care of their families. A lot of men are concerned, really. Okay, how do I thank for this family? The rise in cost of goods, services, and food and the likes. And quite a number of men are also feeling somewhat, overwhelmed, really. But I would say that it is very important that every man embrace financial planning. That's a very important tool for having control over your finances, over the finances of your family. Being able to budget, okay, what do we need, what do we want, and then being able to budget for it per time. Okay, let's just schedule, let's create a schedule. Okay, this month I'm going to get this month I'm going to get this. So everything, it depends on the budget, really, when you're able to plan properly. So I would say to men that their most potent tool for financial control is financial planning.
That is an absolutely important step, because not having a plan is our plan to fail, right?
Yes.
That is universal, whether you're running a business, whether you're running a household, whether you're planning for your future, all of it. So when you start talking to men about planning and financial planning, what are some of the fears and reservations men have? Because we live in a world where every man has to feel powerful, and I am the big shot in the room. And it's no longer muscle and physical might, it's the size of your bank account and how much money you have. And so sometimes men don't want other men or women to see or know how much they have or don't have. And because of that pride and that social consciousness of how society is going to perceive them, they don't get the help and open up. What are some of the things you're seeing? And what advice would you have for men to get past that?
Thank you very much. Very, very important question. Dr. Cass. In my interaction with various clients, men most especially, one of the things I feel the fear is loss of income, loss of jobs, loss of income, not being able to earn, whereby they lose, they lose their source of livelihood, something like that. That's a very major stuff that men are afraid of. They feel that we feel that having a source of livelihood, having a source of income is one of the things that make you a man. That makes you a man, that makes you a husband or a father. When your wife comes to you and say, okay, we need money for this, we need money, okay, how much? Take. The children come, oh, we need money for daddy, we need money for this, we need money for that. Okay, how much? Yeah, take, and all that. So that gives some kind of pride to the man, So loss of income, loss of source of livelihood is a major cause for concern for men. Another one is debt, having loans unpaid that is giving them unnecessary pressure. I've had quite a number of men that are under such pressure. It's like a weight, like a burden on them, and that gives them sleepless nights, and all that. So having debts, unpaid debts, gives them, sleepless nights is another source of concern that I've seen amongst men. Another thing I would also say is insufficiency of their income to meet their needs or to meet their obligations. That's another major source of concern. In fact, worry, I'll go beyond concern to worry, is a major source of worry because, the prices of goods and services and food are increasing, yet the income has not increased. The increase in income is not commensurate to the increase in the prices of commodities and the like. So those are three major concerns for men. Let me add one. The last one would be sudden demise. What would happen? What would happen if he or she suddenly? What would happen to his children or to his wife if he or she? So if he suddenly passes on, that's another major source of concern. So the solution, as I see it, is to be very intentional. To be very, very intentional about one's financial life. To start by putting necessary stuff in place. For example, having an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months emergency fund is very important. Then, that's why I talked about financial planning, because financial plan will consider your goals, your age, your risk appetite, and then it would help you to face certain things, and then implementation plans and all that. It would help to put that in place. So emergency fund, and then, doing necessary stuff, insurance, loss of income insurance, life insurance, HMO, health insurance, all of those things, just putting them in place to ensure that whether or not you are available, whether or not you lose income, at least you have an annuity. Also, you could also do an annuity plan and all that. So all of these things, there are mitigating solutions that one could put in place to ensure that none of those things would affect. So it depends on the willingness of the man to pay the price, because it will require certain discipline at the beginning. To be able to be disciplined, to put necessary things in place, and then to pay the price. Thank you.
Wow, that's absolutely profound, Coach Benjamin. I mean, you are reeling those financial solutions out, and it is so insightful. I think one of the things you mentioned that really struck me while you were mentioning it is the fact that, men used to see finances as a way of robbing their ego. Most especially in the developing nations, such as where you and I come from, whereby a whole lot of men tend to see it as a means of, or a way of them living up to that expectation when you keep giving. I want you to talk to us on how men should begin to look more collaboratively in that sense. Because one of the ways or one of the adverse effects this had created is the fact that most men now tend to push the women towards penury so that it comes from them alone. Forgetting the fact that when we live collaboratively, when we live with that mentality that we need to build the society together, that is when it is better off. I want you to share with us what you think our men should know, what you think they should do when it comes to creating a collaborative prosperity, starting from the family and extending it to other parts of the society. Coach Ben.
Okay, thank you very much. That is a very profound question. I have a very, very countercultural opinion. Let me use not it's beyond opinion actually, view with respect to this collaborative work between men and their wives. Candidly, I think husbands, men, should be very open to their wives. I think the husbands should empower their wives. I was reading a book, last week. It's called 10x is easier than 2x by Dan Sullivan. And the book spoke. There was a story about a couple. The guy and the lady, they got married, and as soon as they got married, they started, a restaurant. They had to get mortgage. They had to mortgage a house. They had to get loan, running to millions of dollars to set up the restaurant. But what happened? 6 months down the line, business went down the drain, and they had a huge load of debt on them. So the man called his wife and said, "See," and the wife was not working; she was just supporting. They just had the baby and all that, so she was not. She was on maternity leave. "Please, you have to help me." He was, asking the wife for help. So okay, what can you do? So he asked the wife to go into real estate agency, real estate marketing, and all that. To cut the long story short, they gave the wife the needed support. Today, due to the wife's efforts, today, this was like 30 something years ago, but today they are worth over $100 million. He empowered the wife. So I think that men should empower their wives, should ensure that they are very open. I believe that when men are open with their finances, with their wives, the wife will be making unnecessary demands because she knows what is coming in. She knows this is, if there is, if there is not, there is not, So it gives some level of peace of mind to the man, because he feels, for example, now I called my wife this morning before I left they're on holiday. So I went to visit them before coming back to the office here. So I went to meet them, and I was trying to, there was some things I did, and I said, my wife, my queen, this is what has happened. This is this amount. I told her full disclosure. So I think men ought to have that. It may be radical, but some men will take it. Like one professor of mine, when I was doing MBA, he said that he never told his wife the wife didn't know how much he was earning. He said there was a particular time that he was to get a raise. They were clamoring for a raise, and then the wife was aware. So he got the raise, but he didn't tell his wife. So the wife now asked later on, "How far about the salary raise? Have you gotten it?" He said that he told the wife, "Work in progress." So I feel that when you marry right, when you marry your own wife, there's nothing to hide. You need to be very open. Collaborate with your wife. That is very, very important. Collaborate with your wife. And because two heads are better than one. There's some certain things that you want to do that when your wife comes in and she gives her input, it becomes better. And then another thing I would like to also talk about with respect to collaborative effort is men having strategic relationships. People, transformational relationships around them. Having people that you can, I have, for example, I have that two friends that I have. We are like this. We are very open. We support one another. When one of us is in need or is in a challenge, we rally around to help the person. We need to have such relationships. It helps a lot. I hope that answers the question, sir.
Absolutely. You know, the old question people ask, is it the journey or the destination? And I always say it's the company, right? If you have the right company, you're enjoying and making an impact throughout the journey, and you end up in the right destination. And in a human relationship, in a household, the wife is a part of it, right? And
Yes.
statistics show that women anyway do $1 billion worth of work for no pay every day all around the world. They're contributing, except they're not getting paid. And United Nations sustainability goals, one of the 17 goals is empowering women and bringing them into the economy. There is 7 trillion US dollars to be made by bringing women into the economy. It doesn't take from anybody. It adds 7 trillion. So when there's so much money involved, why not bring the women in, even for a larger reason? If anything happens to the husband, what if he breaks his leg? What if he gets cancer? Who's going to take care of the family? Who's going to take care of him? So when couples are truly partners, in the hunter-gatherer age, they were partners where he went and hunted and she took care of the family. Life has changed. Men are not going to hunt. We're going to work. So the world has changed, but our partnership hasn't. Our partnership is still as if we're hunter-gatherers while we are in a technology era of human services and human relationships, right? And so what you're saying is truly, truly deeply meaningful. How do we jump that cultural threshold? That's the $1 million question. Because I come from a society where women are the head of the households. The first female elected head of state came out of my country in 1960. When we get married, we already have a job and we have a home, and the husband moves into our home. I come from a different culture, and we could take multiple husbands before we were a European colony, right? So to me, all of these other things seem very artificial. So help me and audience understand, how can we get men to a point where they can get past and think of it as truly courageous to collaborate with their wives? It's a mental jump they have to make.
Okay, thank you. My apologies, Jen just found out. Let's move. So first, I would say that it is very important to cultivate the kind of mindset that transcends culture. That is very important. If you would make a meaning of your life, you need to cultivate that consciousness that transcends culture, that is able to help you to live from within, not pattern your life to the cultural ways, especially disempowering ways that would help you to lose your personality, to lose your identity. So I think that men ought to, it's a personal decision, really. There are no hard and fast roads to this. This requires a lot of clarity. I would say it requires a lot of ability to own yourself, to know who you are, and to know what makes you different, and to be able to live from within, knowing your purpose in life, and then being able to align with your purpose, irrespective of cultural tendencies, and to be able to move beyond that, to be able to look beyond that, and be able to live from within. So I would say to men, it is very important that every man is purpose conscious and not culture conscious. It is also very important for men because we have just one life to live. We must live it on purpose and not by accident. So it is very critical for every man to be able to discover their essence and to align with that essence For example, let me cite an example. There are certain things I've done that I'm doing that are countercultural, but because they align with my purpose, I don't care. I don't care about what the culture says. This is who I am. And that is, in fact, that is what really differentiates you from the masses. Every person is towing a certain line, but you, because of your consciousness, because of your ability to take 100% responsibility for your life, you are able to discover the right path and then to follow through. Example, I have a client. And the client is asking me to do something. Normally, I should do that. On a normal day, I should do what he's saying. But as I thought about it, because aside from being my client, we're also friends. We've been friends for more than 25 years. So I should do that. But I felt that this is a long-term stuff. I must protect myself. So what I did was I crafted a contract and I sent to him via email. It's the right thing to do. I can't use friendship to do that. It's my family friends, I know him. This is business. There should be a contract in place. So we must not allow culture to becloud our sense of the right things to do. So I would say to men, in a nutshell, as I round up, I would say to men, it is very important for you to discover and to align with your identity. Know who you are, and then align with that and follow through on that, irrespective of culture. Thank you.
Oh, that's so profound again, Coach Benjamin. I mean, you mentioned it, and it's so spot on. You only live once, and you are responsible for whatever your outcome is going to be in that life that you live. The responsibility is right in your hand. Just like you said, you can either choose to live with 2x or 10x. When you empower your partner, when we also do that, even at the society level, when you see an out of school lady, you try as much as possible to know that, yes, this is part of the 7 trillions that is not added to the economy that Dr. Cass mentioned based on statistics that is out of school in terms of what the productivity is going to translate into in the society at large. When we empower each other, when we empower one another, we build the society together. We create a shared prosperity together. We create the empowerment that we need to achieve our purpose, to align with our identity, just like you mentioned. And that is absolutely profound. As we begin to wrap up, I mean, one important thing is for us to allow you share how people can reach out to you, because that's also part of the aims and objectives of the man's space, how people can get hold of you online, offline, and through whatever means you want them to. Coach Ben.
Okay. Thank you very much. So you can reach me on all social media. My name is Benjamin, just Benjamin Aduroja on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. On Instagram is Global Wealth Advisor. But once you search for Benjamin Aduroja, you'll be able to pinpoint and locate my social media. You can also reach me via email, benjamin.aduroja@cuttingedgepartners.com.ng. It's quite long. Let me say it again. benjamin.aduroja@cuttingedgepartners.com.ng. Our website is www.cuttingedgepartners.com.ng. Thank you.
Beautiful. And we will be sure to share that in our release so that the YouTube episode release is going to have your contact information. And thank you so much, Benjamin, not only to share your insights, but also share your perspectives on how do we build a better union? How do we make households strong? Because when every household is strong, our societies are strong. And thank you so much for reminding us that we need to transcend culture and truly live our purpose so that we bring meaning to our life, because we're the only ones who can bring meaning. So appreciate your insight. And to our audience out there, you heard Benjamin talk about this today. So take a moment and take an introspective journey. You don't have to struggle alone, even when it's about money. You have a spouse, you have kids, get everybody involved, because it's going to take all of us together, one family at a time, to build a wealth mindset, to build our wealth and truly rise above. It is not an individual journey. So go out there and make your journey count, and make sure you take your partner along for the journey. That is why they're your partner.